What is going on, guys? Hope you guys are doing extremely well today. Today I'm actually going to jump into a crypto that I've never really looked into, but shout out to Based Chad. Um, this gentleman recommended me to do a dive on this cryptocurrency, and lo and behold, I think it's probably one of the greatest projects that I've seen thus far. So I'm going to talk about it today, guys. Today I'm going to basically be doing a review on Flux cryptocurrency. So it is essentially a Web3 cloud, and looking into this project for the first time, I was really blown away, guys. I want to discuss the great features that this project has and that some of the price action I believe it may hit. And simply that is based on what I believe this project has in store. So before I get into this video though, if you guys are struggling with understanding cryptocurrency and you want to learn how to 10x your knowledge, 10x your gains, and 10x your confidence in crypto, how to build a strong, well-balanced portfolio and gain a solid crypto knowledge and explore nothing but the hottest crypto projects, and assure yourself that you have the confidence that it takes to be prepared for many bull runs to come. Sign up to my Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest development and projects, make sure you do not go beyond this part of this video without smashing that like button, smashing that subscribe button. Be sure to hit those notifications so that you can be ready to always add value to your crypto journey. All right, guys, this is Flux cryptocurrency. Let's get into it. So guys, if you know me already, I get into that nitty gritty, so it may be a little boring to some, but it's generally great information, guys. So as I started, so first of all, Base Chad, shout out to you again, my man. So he's like, well, now you've been doing some videos on some good projects. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool, you know, much love. He's like, do one on Flux. So I'm like, okay, I never seen Flux. So I'm like, all right, let's get into it. So I started looking around this project and I'm like blown away, right? So I get deeper and deeper and I found that, wow, it's just such a mind-boggling experience. The ecosystem alone had me flustered, but I just started thinking like, man, this project is pretty impressive. Very similar to ICP, but on a whole nother level. So, I mean, I started to look at them and I started to compare them because that's what I do. I'm like, well, what can I compare this project to? And ICP is like number one, popped into my head. And I'm like, does this really got something on ICP, guys? And honestly, Flux is pretty solid, right? So Flux has over 15,250 servers that developers can actually essentially deploy decentralized apps on. And to make it super easier to do, so the developers have like set fees for however they want to build on the project, right? So when I started looking into the project and what the costs were to build on it, because essentially that's what I like doing, is just kind of being nosy behind what it takes to build on something like this. So I seen that there are set fees for like whatever type of narrative you want to go into that on that blockchain. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, so you could build essentially like for distribution, marketing, for man, off the top of my head, there was like 5 different categories of how you could build on top of it and what type of business or application you want to tie that to a business. But Flux has built a system. Basically, they have like a compounded network of systems. They have like Flux OS, Flux Labs, and then Zalcore, which is like an exchange payment type system to help you essentially just develop on Flux. And you know, you use the Flux coin to build on this platform, which is pretty, you know, it's pretty common. But the benefits of building on Flux, you can essentially develop as low as like 0.09 Flux per month, depending on what you want to do and how you want to build. They also offer like highly available computing power, scalability, decentralization, multiple developer languages. So with the multiple developer languages, it's pretty much bilingual. Waka waka waka. Just kidding. So the languages obviously refer to like what type of coding languages they have in software. So they also offer no single point of failure. So meaning that their system is pretty robust and highly manageable, and there is like very little room for error when it comes to building on this platform. So essentially I asked myself, well, how does Flux operate? So Flux is basically designed with a not proof of work, but proof of useful work, which is basically a proof of useful work consensus protocol. So if I were to explain what that means, it essentially means that it's a proof of useful work agreement procedure to exchange information and data. So I asked myself, well, why not use a proof of work system versus using the proof of useful work system? What ideally it is because Flux looked at using the proof of work system, they came to an understanding that the proof of work is somewhat sort of way wasteful to them, and they found out that using the proof of useful work cuts out all the fat in the system by only utilizing the energy needed to fulfill the consensus and still ensure that the protocol was sufficient. It also leverages the relative abundance of graphic cards, right? So they're bringing in real world utilization into a system or blockchain. So underutilized hardware infrastructure to create a decentralized peer-to-peer system capable of providing real utility to tackle current challenges of the AI industry is what they started to move into, because they wanted to essentially integrate AI with their system. But everybody knows that when building with AI, you need machine learning systems, right? So you have to obviously train to know how to utilize machine learning programs and software. So another mind-blowing example, what Flux did was set to dominate, is that the researchers found that the machine learning AI was very expensive. I believe they took some cost behind ChatGPT and found that training costs average around $4 million just in training the systems alone and users for ChatGPT. So $4 million, that's a big chunk of change to actually be able to cost to hit the bottom line on training into an AI system. So now understanding that it would essentially cost, tons of money for Flux to be able to integrate, AI training on top of, introducing that type of technology to the project. They essentially found a loophole how to integrate the proof of useful work, allowing customers that needed AI infrastructure, they would essentially rent specific hardware that correlates, that utilizes the specific needs to be met, having to options to also scale out. So they would get their training through the program that they could rent, and only how the software was actually designed that they made to only be geared towards what the customer use is needed. So like if they needed AI for data collection, they would have the data collection software available for them versus maybe AI monetary collection or personal information or whatever the case may be. They have that available. And what happens is they run this software. Basically what they would do is they run the software, and it would actually be running consecutively to many different users or customers, and it's going to allocate whatever information is needed for that specific training. But as this customer closes out that training, it would be available for the next person. So it's running like this, and customers are picking at it. So pretty damn unique if you ask me. So also Flux has identified that integration of AI in big infrastructures, right, has caused warning, especially when it comes to data privacy. Now, again, when I heard this and I started looking into it, I'm like, well, what does that compare to? What type of project does that compare to? Well, when it comes to data and privacy, when you integrate AI, it gives big centralized corporations an opportunity to basically sell the data and information, and they make a fortune off of it, guys. And that's why I compared this to a project. And you guys might think I'm biased, but I mean, it sounds just like Jasmy, right? Jasmy's trying to eliminate the big corporations from taking our data and making tons and tons of money off of it and giving it back to us so we can make the money off of, being able to secure our data. So what Flux did was made certain that AI integration through the proof of useful work model ensures the customers that data is strictly confidential and prohibited from sale or distribution to third parties. That's what big centralized companies do. They sell our data to third party businesses, and they make tons of money off of it. So Flux also, with making sure that they're not selling or distributing any data to third parties, what they did is they also provide CPU hardware level isolation and memory encryption, among other measures. So with that, I simply believe that Flux is basically redefining the future of decentralized internet by bridging the tech barrier and allowing end users to interact more easily with the Web3 ecosystem. Now, Flux is innovating to power the free web smarter, better, and affordable. So in my mind, it's an astounding project. And I really have to cover so much more, guys, because I swear I would make a 2-hour long video if I essentially like pretty much went into everything that I really wanted to. There's so much behind this project. I think this is a massive project. Again, shout out to Based Chad. Dude, you opened my eyes to this project, and I think this project is really falling along the lines of what the new revolutionary Web3 is all about. So I say right off the bat, this project could do a 20 to 40x. I want to dig deeper, and just, you know, basically scratching the surface. I think it has that much potential. That's just an educated guess on my part based on, you know, the tokenomics. You know, I want to dive deeper into the tokenomics. I want to look at more of that side of the project, but basically, I just had about maybe 5 hours to put this video together. So I did as much research as I could, pulled out the most important information that I felt needs to get out. Is that, you know, you compare this project to major projects like, you know, Internet Computer. Flux sits right in there with it, you know. And as far as data goes, I mean, there's a whole IoT data string of projects that are really gearing to take over this data control thing, get it back to the end users. But I really think, honestly, that Flux is a very, very great project. I honestly, I would say, honestly, my honest opinion, I do believe that this could do like a 20 to 40x, essentially by what they have built, the integration between different cryptocurrencies, the platform utilization, you know, having Zalcore connected to it, the Flux OS. I mean, there's just so much behind this project that this is barely like if I had a big chunk of, I don't know, cheese, I would basically be tearing off a little piece and giving it to you, because this is an insane, massive project. So if you guys want to learn more about hot projects, you know, and understand how to really dive into portfolios and understand how to research into projects and, you know, get that deep dive mentality, and then this will essentially do a 10x to a 20x to possibly a 30x into your portfolio based on just the knowledge that you would have. Jump into the crypto, run my crypto Patreon. Again, if anything, just like and subscribe to this video if you guys got some value out of it. Flux, I think it's a good project and it could do massive things. Make sure you guys have a blessed day. Remember, this is not financial advice. This is just some educational information that I sucked in and spit out. All right, guys, take care.